I feel much better about the garden than I did even 6 hours ago. I don't really have a written down to-do list, but I just kind of went from one thing to another, hopping around as I saw stuff. So, gonna close it up for the night. Already closed the hoop house. That's almost completely mulched. I need to do some more mowing. Now that I've got the garden under control grass-wise, I can start mowing with the grass collector bag on the mower and start using that mulch. But just a quick rundown of the stuff I got accomplished today. And the garden looks great with the grass, so that was definitely a good decision yesterday. The little hoop house is also almost completely mulched. So I call this the chicken house because I put my chickens in here. So the chicken house is almost mulched. I need to do the walking paths in between the rows with grass as soon as I get it, and then do something about the foundations. But that's a lot of good work. That hopefully will preserve moisture in there. So that's good. I also got the kale and lettuce rows cultivated. So those look pretty darn good. I do have to do a little bit of hand weeding in underneath the kale, stuff like that. But the rows themselves look pretty good. I also got the potato rows prepped to the extent that they're gonna be. And I just mowed and weed whacked where the chicken house was. So that's there now. And last weekend, before we moved it, it was here. So I weed whacked that. All that black plastic is gonna come over here. And I'm gonna plant my squash here. I'll pick up these pieces here, and those will probably go in between the rice paddies. So I mowed that as well. I got the peas trellised for the most part. I do have to put a couple of nails in. So I've got a couple of places where there's no nail, so I gotta come out and put that on. I've got one there, but this was clearly for a 6-foot fence back when I grew a different variety of peas. And then like I've got that one there, but the fence sags. I don't like that, so I'll come out and put another one in there. But anyway, I got that done. I pulled all the crabgrass from this edge row, put these sunflowers in, and planted beans around them, so that's good. I put these sunflowers in on the back of what's going to be a potato row and put beans around those. And also, not just beans, but morning glories. Try an experiment this year to get the morning glories to grow up the sunflowers. We'll see how that goes. I also planted beans around those sunflowers that are behind the lettuce. I also cultivated and flooded the rice paddies. This one looks good, and this one I couldn't get it to hold water. I couldn't figure out why, and then I realized that this little part here where I had cut the plastic too short, it's leaking right out there. So essentially I get water up in here and then it leaks out there. So I'm not sure. I think what I'm gonna have to do is just keep cultivating this, and I might try to, as the rice gets bigger, I might try to move some of this soil down into the low spot. I might also try to put a piece of tape on that, put another piece of plastic on and tape it. I don't think that'll work, but I don't know. We'll see. This rice is actually looking really good. So, and so is that, which is really interesting because this has been flooded. These are, actually I need to flex that back in so some of that water goes up there. But anyway, these were full of water when I put the rice in. These were not. So I'm hoping that that one at least catches up. Alright, hoop house is closed, but that's almost all mulched in there. I've got a couple walking paths. The grass is under control again, everywhere. And the garden's looking really good. Blueberry bushes are blossomed. Strawberries are coming along. Things look pretty darn good. I also cultivated over here. I really got a lot accomplished today. I feel good about that. Cultivated these strawberries, and they're also looking good. There's a couple that are starting to ripen actually, so I'm pretty psyched about that. There's still no shortage of stuff to do, but I feel a lot better about how this looks. It's a pleasant place to be again, instead of a place that causes stress. So, well, the other thing I noticed while I was over here is some of the grapes are starting to blossom out. So, I think I'm going to plant them. And that one's actually got grapes on it. So these are the ones that the cuttings that I picked up from the Seed and Scion Exchange at Mafka in March, and figured I'd try to root them, and it looks to me like there's a possibility that there are roots down in there. So my plan is to continue to develop these sort of half plot permaculture beds. So here I've got the hoop house here that's going to move back and forth for these 3 plots. So it's here now. This winter it'll be here, and I'll plant some stuff. And then I've got the strawberries and a couple apple trees here. I've got plum rootstock here that I'm hoping eventually to graft peaches onto once I figure out how to do that. I do have 1 apple tree. And then I think I'm going to put those grapes over here in front of the hops, which are on that trellis. So I need to plant my squash over here, but I might, if I can plant the squash tomorrow, actually I need to cover it in so it doesn't get any cucumber beetles on it. But if I can plant that squash and get that and the pumpkins and get that done tomorrow, then maybe I'll have time to put those grapes over there. But I think it's gonna rain tomorrow, so might not get. The sky looks pretty ready to rain actually, and the wind's coming in nice and cool now. It was hot while I was working, but it feels good now. So I don't know what tomorrow's gonna hold for weather, but it's gonna do what it's gonna do. And it's Father's Day, so probably go out to breakfast, and I think we're doing lobsters in the evening with M's family. So it should be a good day. If there's any sunshine and time when we're not doing family stuff, I left my bar out here, I will see what I can accomplish in terms of planting the squash and pumpkins. I also need to plant corn right away. That's the next set of things to do. Squash, pumpkins, corn, and putting those grapes out. But for now, pretty happy with the day's work.